person's sleeping. Just like in our other videos, the rifle is here to help you remember rifampin. Also, the grandma is holding a glass of ice water, and the ice should help you remember isoniazid. The fact that the rifle and glass of ice are right next to the sleeping person should help you remember that rifampin and isoniazid alone can be used for latent TB. All right, now that we've covered the image, let's review with a question. A 57-year-old woman who immigrated to the U.S. from Thailand several years ago presents to the emergency department due to night sweats, fevers, and weight loss. She states that she first noticed her symptoms approximately 1 week ago. Her past medical history is significant for rheumatoid arthritis, but is well controlled with infliximab. Physical examination shows axillary lymphadenopathy. A chest x-ray reveals a pulmonary infiltrate in the upper lobe of the left lung. This patient's condition can be best explained by which of the following? A. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. B. Uncontrolled proliferation of Reed-Sternberg cells. C. Granuloma dysfunction. Or D. Polymorphonuclear invasion of alveolar tissue. Okay, let me highlight a few points from the question stem. She is from Thailand. She's had night sweats, fevers, and weight loss. She's being treated with a TNF-alpha inhibitor, infliximab. And a chest x-ray revealed a pulmonary infiltrate in the upper lobe of the left lung. Collectively, these clues are highly suggestive of secondary TB. She likely contracted the infection when in Thailand and has had a latent infection since then. Then after taking infliximab, the granulomas that were containing the infection were disrupted, and she developed reactivation TB, or secondary TB. So the correct answer is C, granuloma dysfunction. From the image, recall that the person sleeping on the couch right here represents latent TB. And the remote that says TNT right here is here to help you remember that TNF-alpha inhibitors can increase the risk of secondary TB by disrupting granuloma formation. A is incorrect because while idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis can affect the lungs and cause shortness of breath, it's unlikely to cause fever, night sweats, and weight loss. So A is incorrect. B is describing cells that are associated with Hodgkin lymphoma. Lymphoma is classically associated with fevers, night sweats, and weight loss, but it's unlikely to cause pulmonary infiltrates. Also, the fact that this patient is taking a TNF-alpha inhibitor and is from Thailand makes TB more likely. So B is incorrect. Finally, D is incorrect because this is describing pneumonia. Pneumonia may cause a pulmonary infiltrate on the chest x-ray, but is unlikely to cause night sweats and weight loss. So D is incorrect. So again, the correct answer is C, granuloma dysfunction. And with that, we've covered everything you need to know about Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
And we're back at third.
Everything you need to know within 18 minutes of this
She's stuck, Bill.
amazing.
That deadline is cool.
This is from Sketchy Microbes, and I mean, I love it because that, I'm reading it for the first time, but it kind of puts everything in kind of perspective. And you can see all this information which is there, whether you get it from the textbook, from the lecture, from the YouTube, wherever you get this information from. But these are the key points. In order for you to answer the question in the end, that's what you will have to do in Napolis. The only thing is that I can tell you, because this is more of a medicine thing, he talked about right? He talked about rifampicin, and azembutol, isoniazid, ethambutol. So these are the anti-TB drugs. And where they are acting, for that you need to know a little bit more detail of the cell wall structure. So this is, I think many of you are asking, what is the minimum? So this is a minimum requirement for anybody across the board, whether he's a medical student, dental student, pharmacy student, to kind of know step B. So this is the basic competency level information. And all these words, I mean, you can, those of you, I'm more of a like visual, so I can pick up. And people have made their own, what do you call, mnemonics. I mean, some of them are good, but I think he pretty much covered everything that is there in terms of mycobacteria. And those of you who have seen, the link is there in my syllabus, it was there. And you like sketchy micros, you can put staphylococcus, whatever you want to put, even for viruses as well. Amazing. And I think what my style is, I'm going to go through that and then read the textbook afterwards. For example, he talks about, let's say, carbofucin. He talks about sulfatide. So I say, what is it? Then you go by and dig it out, right? And then you can go to any detail that you want. I cannot control that. It depends upon, but you saw that the case studies that he picked up everything, Thailand, night sweat. So this should ring in your mind. This is how they write the questions. So they give you the clues. Right? I do spend a lot of time in pathophysiology, as you can see in my lecture, where I talk about granuloma formation. I mean, some of the things probably are a little bit maybe difficult for you because we'll cover that in immunology, like interferon gamma, Th1 type cells, macrophages, but you get an idea as to what's coming on, right? And this is, I mean, this is there. And those of you, I think it was kind of a little bit sped up because the way I was talking, those of you who want to listen to it over and over and over and over again, let it be. I had like Xavier, one of my students in P4, and at that time, her job was to prepare the pre-lectures, like these lectures. They're also there, but again, I don't want to put it up there. So she had this idea that 10 minutes pre-lecture before coming to my lecture, you can play it in your car or wherever to get an idea. But again, you have to keep in mind the onus falls on you. I can't control that. And I know as a teacher, there's many things happening in your life, personal, you know, academic, exam, and this and that. But keep that in mind that all this is content heavy. Right? So that's why I hate to lecture over and over again, because it's just gonna be boring. And I've already recorded what I want to say, unless you ask me a question, like I'm just gonna open the floor right now. If you ask me any question, because that question will give me an idea, the way you ask the question, what's the depth of your knowledge to move on to ask the question. Does that make sense? The floor is open. I mean, not that I'm gonna quiz you, but if any question comes to you in terms of critical thinking, in terms of, understanding, I'm more than happy to answer. So we have the next 5 minutes for the questions, and then we'll give you 10-minute break, and we'll get back again to go for the next topic. Floor is yours. You're included. You're doing microbiology and biology, you are included. And you must have figured out there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut to memorization. There's no shortcut. I mean, I was just talking to Dr. Sama. She's right now teaching DAS 7 and 8. And she actually just complained to me that I asked a question to students and they didn't know anything about that. And I taught it in detail. So that makes me think, even I spend hours and hours, I'm not blaming the student, but you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep that in your long-term memory, even for 2 years, when it comes P4. Right? So that's why I kind of took the, the pressure of passing, failing out of this semester exam, right? So you just have to move up, right? But still you have to do what you need to do, because, I mean, there's nothing I can control. So once a person says tuberculosis, all these things should play out. You know, what is he talking about? And you know, and I can tell you that, as I said, my job and our job as a teamwork is to prepare you as a pharmacist. So you can't get away without knowing it, and I can tell you right now. So you're going to expose your whatever ignorance or knowledge one way or the other in your lifetime. I mean, that's guaranteed. It's not an optional subject. Okay, I don't know this. I'm going to move on. You cannot move on. Infection is going to haunt you over and over. Okay. Let's review.
Yeah.
Question.
I gotta look at my own person.
Not asking a question means you know everything and you don't know. That's a bit more extreme. You asked it, got it, done, or you know, forget it. Yes.
About the, can I ask, like, for the latent phase
Yeah.
of
Any-
tuberculosis, is it better to treat it during its latent phase or when it's occurring, when the granuloma pops open and the bacteria spreads around? So which phase is like?
Good, very good question. Does everybody understand what he's saying? He's saying that is it better for us to treat it in a latent phase when it's hidden as compared to exposed phase when it's opened up? Is that correct? Good question. So keep that in mind, treatment is only when the problem occurs. We don't go and chase around latent things as a treatment. Why? Because people don't show up. Right? It's just like, bad example, you say that a person has multiple sexual partners. The chances are he or she may have STD. So should we assume that he or she, since they have multiple sex partners, they got STD? No, unless STD develops. Otherwise, it totally is gonna. Like for example, let me see, human papilloma virus, HPV. Right? It is a cause of cancer in female of the cervix, right? And that's why all women go for Pap smear, papillomavirus smear, right? But the question is that now the question will come. Number one, epidemiological incidence. The incidence of HPV is 99% of US population, right, are HPV positive, right? So HPV you can only get through the sexual intercourse. It doesn't really matter with one partner or no partner, right? So then they start assuming that, okay, let's define what to do in terms of latent treatment, more preventative treatment before it occurs, right? So what they say, let's go for the vaccine. Vaccine is that you know it's gonna occur, it's a rain forecast, let me take my umbrella. It may or may not rain. So then the question is that they'll ask the scientists that who will get HPV? So they will tell you that the only transmission is through sexual intercourse. Then the question is that we need to start giving this vaccine before the kids have sexual intercourse. Okay? Then they will say, okay, let's get the data, CDC data, high school data. You know, when the high school kid starts having sex. So they will say 10, 11. So they say, okay, give us a minimum age. They say 9, statistically, right? They may have the data out there. Then the question will come, should we start giving this vaccine to kids? Because we have to give them before they have sex. Even if 9, 10, if there's 10 people, they don't care for the number, right? Then the laws have to be passed. I remember 10 years ago when I was teaching this, the vaccine was introduced, rejected by the parents of the kids. They said, why do you want my daughter and son to get this vaccine? I know they're not having sex. But the government say, well, the data suggests that the high school and the middle school, so there was a big fight, and no, it's there. You know, most of the, at least for high school, so that's a policy matter then. When to give vaccine, when not to give vaccine. You understand the point? So coming back to your question is that I think, as the data says, that everybody is it's like COVID-19. If a person says, I was never been exposed in COVID-19 pandemic, I was not exposed to COVID-19 virus. Would you believe that? I wouldn't believe that. Because it's a pandemic, the chances are you were exposed, but you had a good immune response, you didn't let the disease happen. So likewise, the chances are, I would still, if I'm a little bit diplomatic, Asian or African or third world country, everybody's exposed to TB. Right? So what shall we do? If you start treating it, the treatment is 9-month therapy. 9-month therapy of a drug which is toxic. It's going to damage your liver, it's going to damage your kidney. You know, patients don't take it. It causes vomiting, it causes diarrhea, it causes nausea. It's very expensive. People say, I'll rather die with TB, and that's what's happening in Africa and Asia. So the US government wants to mandate, they don't want people who are infected with TB to come to this country, right? So they make it as an immigration rule. So whenever you are going to immigrate, you're going to get your BCG test. But there's a problem with that. You know what the problem is?
Credibility.
Say it again?
Credibility.
Credibility of the test, yeah, I will agree. But there's another problem to that.
It's like when they get the vaccine, they test the false positive.
That is also part, if they do. That is also very important point. Everybody's BCG vaccinated, but maybe in Africa, no. But there's a third issue, which is, I think, more important. Yeah, Erin, what's the third? I mean, you can take a money. So they apply that issue, the government, to immigration, right? What about visitors? It's not applicable to visitors. There are more visitors coming to US, so bringing the TB from all over the world. So what can you do? Okay, if you're gonna have tough policies,
It should be for visitors too.
two. The second problem is that there are lobbies. For example, if you mandate that, so airline lobby will come and influence the government. I know, I mean, I went for a spring break to England, that's where my family is. So I just came last night. So I was listening to the news, they say that the health minister of UK lied to the public, not telling them the rising incidence of COVID-19, which is occurring. The reason being economic reasons, because they don't want to create panic, right? They don't want to stop the economy. If 40,000 people die, let them die, because they die anyway. So it is very difficult when it comes to that policy making. Right? So there are lobbies there. Does that make sense? Okay, good question. So I'm gonna give you like maybe 10-15 minutes break, so we can like 10 past an hour, and we'll continue. All right, thank you.